This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
And they're into the stretch, and Lee turns for home with a 4-length lead, but will take charge, is beginning to move now with a furlong to run. Lee still running strong for the wire. Will take charge, is 2 lengths back, and he's determined to try to catch Lee, but Lee is too far out in front, and Lee has won the Donn under Joel Rosario. It was Will Take Charge second, Viramundo was third, and then came Bourbon Courage, and the final time was 1 minute, 46.86 seconds. That is a new track record.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Cassano. On this morning's show, well, the Donn Handicap and the final career start for a champion will highlight our stakes action for the older horses. Our 3-year-old segment will include a pair of Gary Stevens winners, along with our updated Derby Dozen. And speaking of 3-year-olds, this extended holiday weekend, the big 3-year-old stakes race, the Southwest, on Monday at Oaklawn, and we will have a pair of guests with a total of 3 starters in that race. Mr. Kellyn Gorder has 2-time winner Bourbonize making his stakes debut on Monday, and Mr. Cody Autrey, who will be sending out Smarty Jones winner Tanzanite Cat, as well as recent maiden winner Paganol, will join us later on. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our February 15th edition of the program. Again, good morning. Welcome to the show. Aqueduct has canceled for this afternoon, as well as a couple of other tracks, Laurel. But the big news, Aqueduct has canceled for the 2nd day in a row. I want to congratulate Schenectady resident Michael Piccola, who recently finished 4th in the National Handicapping Championship in Vegas. Michael, a retired postal worker, won himself $55,000 for finishing 4th. Congratulations to Mike Piccola. All right, here we go with some news, and we begin with California-based trainer Bill Curran, who appeared on this show during 2006 and 2007 as the trainer of Stormello, passed away on Tuesday at the age of 77. Curran not only trained Stormello, who captured the 06 Hollywood Futurity, but bred and owned him as well. Congratulations to Kim Hammond, who recently became the first female trainer in North American history to win 2,000 races. Hammond, who has competed at some of the smaller tracks in the Midwest, has been training for more than 34 years. And Larry Colmus, the voice of Gulfstream Park in the winter, and we will listen to a couple of his calls in just a moment, has been named track announcer at Churchill Downs. Colmus also calls the Breeders' Cup and the Triple Crown. On the equine side, Palace Malice, the winner of last year's Belmont Stakes, will make his 2014 debut in the March 8th Gulfstream Park Handicap at 1 mile. According to Cod Campbell, that race will serve as a stepping stone to the New Orleans Handicap. One of the most interesting things for me about Palace Malice is, toward the end of his 3-year-old season, he developed some gait habits that weren't so good. He didn't break well in several of his races. So it's going to be interesting to see him come back, because going a flat mile in your comeback, particularly at Gulfstream Park, pretty hard to break behind the field. All right, big race from last week, the Grade 1 Donn Handicap, 1 mile and an eighth at Gulfstream, the 3-2 betting favorite. Number 2, Will Take Charge, 3-year-old champion from last year, winner of the Clark Handicap in last. 3.5 to 1 second choice, number 3, Revolutionary, who had returned off a layoff in last to capture a good allowance contest. And the co-third choice is at 5 to 1. Number 5, River 7, an impressive winner of the Harlan's Holiday over the track in last. And number 8, Lee, an equally impressive winner of the Hal's Hope at Gulfstream in last. Now, my feeling going in was that Will Take Charge, even though I think he's a bit more dangerous at 1.25 miles than he is at 1 1/8 miles, was the best horse in here. My only concern with him was 1.5 miles at Gulfstream. That's not exactly, that doesn't suit him to a T. His late running style at Gulfstream, probably not ideal. If speed gets away from you at Gulfstream, often it's kind of tough to run them down. So for the call of the Donn handicap, here's Larry Colmus.
Eyes goes in, and they're all in line, and we're ready for the start. They're off in the Donn handicap. Uncaptured came out running and goes straight out to take the early lead. And River 7 is away with Speed 2, then neck and neck, and Will Take Charge is right in behind Uncaptured going into the turn as Lee and Bourbon Courage go up on the outside, and now Will Take Charge will be 4th along the rail. River 7 is in mid-pack early, just to the inside of Romance around that first turn. Then comes Viramundo. Revolutionary finds himself 7 lengths off the pace right now, and the 2 long shots Joshua's Comprise and Macho Bull are right next to each other at the back. It's a solid pace. They went 23 and 2 for the opening quarter mile, and Uncaptured is the leader, with Lee alongside in second and Bourbon Courage third, and River 7 just to the outside of them. Romance 5 deep up the backstretch, and Will Take Charge is on the rail. He is 6th right now, and he's 3 lengths off the lead. And then Viramundo, Revolutionary on the far outside, neck and neck, Joshua's Comprise and Macho Bull. 47 and 1 for the first half mile, and the field rounds the far turn where it's Lee on the outside and Uncaptured along the rail, and these two are matching strides on the lead. Bourbon Courage is next, and then River 7 Will Take Charge is on the far outside. He's put to a ride. Viramundo is in between horses. Revolutionary has a lot of work to do. He hasn't picked it up yet, and Lee is in front. 3/4 win in 1:10 and 4, and they're into the stretch, and Lee turns for home with a 4-length lead. But Will Take Charge is beginning to move now with a furlong to run. Lee still running strong for the wire. Will Take Charge is 2 lengths back, and he's determined to try to catch Lee, but Lee is too far out in front, and Lee has won the Donn under Joel Rosario.
Lee, proving that his big win in the Hal's Hope wasn't a fluke, presses the pace, opens the lead, then holds safe a game Will Take Charge to capture the Grade 1 Donn by 1.5 lengths in track record time. Formerly thought of as a very nice turf horse, Lee has more than handled the dirt experiment given him by new trainer Bill Mott. Now, when he beat nice horses in the Hal's Hope in last, I thought it was a very good effort. But at the same time, I wanted to see him do it again against better competition. Well, that's exactly what he did here in the Donn. He appeared so comfortable, pressing and prompting the leader, taking over without a great deal of encouragement from Joel Rosario, and had plenty left to hold off Will Take Charge, who, in my opinion, ran extremely well in defeat. This racetrack is simply not ideal for his late-running style. But I really, really liked the way he ran. He lost nothing in defeat. The Santa Anita handicap at 1.25 miles, the next scheduled start for Will Take Charge. As for Lee, he will likely get some time off, with Mott mentioning the Met Mile and the Whitney as likely summer goals for the son of First Samurai. I'm still taking a little bit of a cautious approach with Lee, because I have mentioned to you several times on this show in the past. And mostly it's about Todd Pletcher trained horses. Those horses who use their tactical and natural speed to great success at Gulfstream Park, because it's the type of surface that, carries that type of horse. You've got to be a little careful when they go to other venues. Sometimes they don't carry that to other venues. So I'm staying a little bit cautious with Lee, but, he's had 2 wins over dirt tracks now, and they have both come at Gulfstream. A minute 46.86, smashed the previous track record of Quality Road by 63/100ths of a second. Revolutionary, the second choice, a very poor 7th. Also on last Sunday's card, the Hurricane Birdie at 6.5 furlongs. The final career start for 2-time champion Groupie Doll. She will be number 1 in here. You will only want to pay attention to number 1, and she is the 2-5 favorite. The line maker had her at 6-5. I would have bet all of my allowance on her at 6-5. Number 6, Heartstealer, was the 3-1 second choice. Now, while Groupie Doll obviously laid over this field on paper and on class, the inside post not ideal, and again, this is Gulfstream. And if the speed gets away from you, sometimes it's hard to run them down. Well, for the call of the Hurricane Birdie, here's Larry Colmus.
And they're all in line. They're racing in the Hurricane Birdie, and Groupie Doll had a slow start. She is off last. Groupie Doll is last early. Jamaican Smoke is going out to take the early lead. On the outside, 5-Star Mama away running in second position. Distortion is third. Wildcat Lily follows fourth by 2.5 lengths. Then Heartstealer and My Due Process. And Groupie Doll is very slow to get going early. She's 10 lengths off the lead. As they approach the half-mile pole, that first quarter was 22-1. And it is Jamaican Smoke on top. Now the leader by a neck. 5-Star Mama second. Wildcat Lily goes up on the outside. Then Distortion, Heartstealer, followed by My Due Process. And Groupie Doll is still last. She's closer now. She's 5 lengths off the lead. She's beginning to move up on the far outside. And here comes Groupie Doll now. Still with work to do as they come toward the top of the stretch. 5-Star Mama is the leader. Groupie Doll is 5 wide. She's on the far outside. Wildcat Lily is next. And they're into the stretch. And there goes Groupie Doll. And Rajiv Mirage lets her loose one last time, and look at her take off. She was dead last up the backstretch, but Groupie Doll goes out in glory at Gulfstream.
2-time champion Groupie Doll closes out her racing career by overcoming a very slow start. Then she simply dominates the Hurricane Birdie by a geared down 7 lengths for Mandy Pope, Buff Bradley, and Rajiv Mirage. Now, while the result was expected, the way she did it was not. Breaking from the inside post, Groupie Doll got away very slowly after breaking flat-footed. With Jamaican Smoke setting a legitimate but not overly fast pace of 22.27, Groupie Doll found herself beaten 9 or 10. My thought at that point, watching it live, was, my God, did something happen to her? She shouldn't be that far back. Buff Bradley later admitted that he was simply feeling sick to his stomach. Now, Rajiv Mirage, to his credit, never panicked. And with an amazingly fast second and third quarter miles, Groupie Doll got into contention, then circled her overmatched rivals, actually made the lead turning for home, and with Mirage conserving her late, Groupie Doll went on to the open length but nerve-wracking victory over number 5, 5-Star Mama, and number 7, Wildcat Lily. Groupie Doll concludes her career having won 12 of 23 races and $2.65 million. But her career changed dramatically beginning in April 2012. That's when Buff Bradley added blinkers to her equipment to help her focus more and really concentrated her races at 6 to 7 furlongs. Now, she ran in the Cigar Mile twice at 8 furlongs, but he really concentrated at 6 to 7 furlongs. She ran 12 of those races. She won 8 times. 2 championships, and 2 of the losses came against the boys in the Cigar Mile. It absolutely turned her career around and made her a dual champion. Now, I mentioned the fast second and third quarters. The actual running time for the second and third quarters combined was 46.38. But when you consider that Groupie Doll began 9 or 10 lengths behind, she had to put in, that's a pretty spectacular run in the middle portion of the race. So congratulations to Buff and his staff and Mandy Pope. You know, it's nice for her to go out a winner. Very quickly, Eblouissant, the half-sister to Zenyatta, made her comeback in a Thursday allowance race at Santa Anita. When I say comeback, it was her first race since that debacle last summer at Saratoga, when she slammed her head into the starting gate, reared, and she trailed the field throughout. You know, she finished a pretty decent second. I think all in all, it was a pretty good comeback for Eblouissant. And we are up to our first break on this February 15th edition of the program. Thank you so much for having joined us. When we return, it's our three-year-old segment. As we go to the break, older horses in the San Antonio. 1 mile and an eighth at Santa Anita. 3 to 10 favorite, number 5, Game On Dude, coming off a second in the Clark Handicap. 3.5 to 1 second choice, number 3, Blue Skies and Rainbows. The winner of the Native Diver in the San Pasquale in his last 2, now stepping up in class. Interestingly, both the top 2 choices possess excellent early speed. So we will take a look at the San Antonio to the break. Back with our three-year-old segment right after these messages.
And away they go to a good beginning. Blue Skies and Rainbows, once the early lead, will take it. Here comes Game On Dude on the outside. So the 2 favorites immediately go off to set the pace. Blue Skies and Rainbows, but Game On Dude absolutely sprinting up now. Those 2 hooked up here. They couldn't be going any quicker. They open up 4 lengths. Majestic Harbor is taking back into third. Then comes Imperative. Blingo's in behind that. At the back, Willie Conqueror and American Blend, a good 10 off the lead. They head to the 3/4 pole, and Blue Skies and Rainbow has gone back into the front now. Game On Dude right up alongside. They're keeping the pressure on one another, and they still clear by 4. Imperative and Majestic Harbor now are joined third and getting closer to those leaders. Now we come back to Blingo, who's racing in 5th, giving them 8-length start. It's another 3 lengths back to Willie Conquer and American Blend. They head to the half-mile pole. Game On Dude on the far side, and Blue Skies and Rainbows still in front by a length. Imperative now going to kick through on the inside. There goes Imperative to make it 3 in a line into the turn. They've been followed by Majestic Harbor. It's 4 back now to Blingo. Then comes American Blend and Willie Conquer. They are coming to the quarter pole, and Imperative's gone through on the inside. Imperative leads them as they come to the top of the lane. Game On Dude on the far side. Blue Skies and Rainbows between them. Now Blingo and Majestic Harbor. They come to the top of the lane. Now there's 5 in a line in the San Antonio. Imperative, the long shot, running a huge one at the rail, but here's Blingo. Game On Dude is backed out of there. Down the center, Majestic Harbor. Imperative looking to cause a shock on the inside. Blingo's right up alongside. Imperative and Blingo nose and nose in a thriller. Blingo to get there. Blingo and Aaron Grider have won the San Antonio. Imperative a huge one in second. Then American Blend, Majestic Harbor and Game On Dude.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Casano, and Blingo for John Sheriffs and Aaron Grider rallies for a hard-fought half-length victory over Imperative to upset the San Antonio. Game On Dude 5th. Blue Skies and Rainbows 6th led to some wonderful show payoffs. On last week's show, Sheriffs told us that he thought Blingo was capable of a huge performance. I don't know if I would refer to that as a huge performance, but it was an awfully good one, which led to the upset. Imperative, a big effort in defeat with the addition of blinkers. Our 3-year-old segment begins with news on a filly. Gracer, who romped in last Saturday's dearly precious stakes at Aqueduct, fractured a sesamoid in her left foreleg and has unfortunately been retired. And Honor Code had his first workout this past week as a 3-year-old. On Wednesday, the Remsen winner went 3 furlongs in 35.67, then galloped out a half in 47.78. Shug McGahee was happy, but also stated that he could not make the March 1st Gotham with Honor Code, so the March 15th Rebel at Oaklawn now becomes the target. So Honor Code will only have 2 preps for the Kentucky Derby. And Indianapolis, who is scheduled to start in Monday's 7-furlong San Vicente at Santa Anita, will miss that race due to a cough. His next start is unknown at this time. And Noble Moon had his first workout since winning the January 4th Jerome this past week when he breezed an easy 3 furlongs for Leah Giamatti. Foot problems have set him back, and the April 15th Wood is now his next planned start. And finally, Intense Holiday, who was originally targeting next Saturday's Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream, will instead travel to New Orleans for the Risen Star on the same day. Intense Holiday was a pretty good 4th in that bizarrely run Remsen, and a pretty good 3rd and last in the Holy Bull from a very difficult post. All right, 2 races for the 3-year-olds to take a look at, beginning with the Robert Lewis Stakes, a 1.16 at Santa Anita. 13-10 favorite, number 3, Midnight Hawk. 2 for 2, including a victory in the Sham and Last. 2-1 second choice, number 1, Candy Boy. An unusual and fascinating, at least to me, second in the Hollywood Futurity and Last. 4.5-1 third choice, number 7, Cheetu. 2 for 2 in sprints, now making his 2-turn debut. And the 4th choice at 6-1, number 5, Cool Samurai, a good-looking maiden winner in Last. For the call of the Robert Lewis, here's Trevor Denman.
And away they go. Diamond Bachelor hops away fast on the inside. El Nino Terreblaze pretty keen to go on, and Cheetu on the outside. 3 of them line up into the turn. Midnight Hawk going to get a good spot right behind the leaders. Down at the rail comes Candy Boy. Home Run Kitten is on the outside of that. Only 4 lengths covers all those runners. Cool Samurai content to be the early trailer. They head to the 3/4 pole, and Diamond Bachelor sets a pace. It's a sensible pace, too. Leads it by a length to Cheetu. Back in the 3rd spot is El Nino Terrible. On the inside, Candy Boy, and on the far side, Midnight Hawk now going up to take 3rd. Then it's a gap of 3 lengths back to Home Run Kitten, and Cool Samurai is 8 off the lead. They head past the 5/8, and Diamond Bachelor still the leader. Cheetu keeping the pressure on from 2nd. On the far side, Midnight Hawks right there in the 3rd spot, and Candy Boy's in 4th. El Nino Terreblaze now dropped back 5th, 4 lengths off the leaders. Another 4 to Home Run Kitten and Cool Samurai. They run past the 3/8 pole. It's still Diamond Bachelor, Cheetu right there 2nd, and Midnight Hawk on the far side. 3 of them come to the 1/4 pole together. Candy Boy still in with a shot from 4th, and now Home Run Kitten starting to improve at the rail. 1/4 mile to go now. Diamond Bachelor, Cheetu between them. Midnight Hawk on the grandstand side. Candy Boy comes after them 4th. They are homeward bound now. Midnight Hawk, Cheetu. Now here comes Candy Boy on the outside. And Candy Boy's finishing resolutely on the grandstand side. Candy Boy, Cheetu on the inside. Midnight Hawk back in 3rd. Candy Boy and Cheetu going to hit it together. Candy Boy to win it.
Candy Boy coming off a 2nd in the Hollywood Futurity when he made a very premature run. Sat a perfect stalking trip in here behind the speed. He would ease to the outside in the lane and go on to a well-measured victory for John Sadler and Gary Stevens. Cheetu, stalking the pace here and making his first start at 2 turns, finished a game second. While Midnight Hawk, the favorite, I thought was a very disappointing third after being a bit keyed up early, taken wide throughout. Now, while Candy Boy had raced okay early in his career, it took him 4 starts to break his maiden. But since winning that first race, he has steadily moved forward. Now, granted, he got beat nearly 6 lengths in the Hollywood Futurity, but the move he made on the backstretch that day, going from 10th at the quarter to the lead at the far turn, really caught my eye. With Gary Stevens knowing him better and the colt maturing, Candy Boy relaxed in here, and really this was a very professional performance. Cheetu, who he just ran down, good game effort stretching out, but I'm not sure how much farther than a mile and a 16th he wants. I did not like Midnight Hawk's race at all. I just simply didn't like it. I thought he should have run much, much better for that. The John Sheriff's trained Cool Samurai, well, he just doesn't have it together mentally at this point. While I remain hopeful that, he's got the potential down the road to become a good racehorse, that down the road now appears to be well beyond the turnoff to Louisville. Mile and a 16th and 141.83, the final 2.5 furlongs in 30.99. Candy Boy, according to reports, may skip the San Felipe and now wait for the April 5th Santa Anita Derby. On Thursday, an entry-level allowance at Santa Anita at a mile. 3-5 favorite, number 1, Bayern, a pretty good-looking maiden winner in his debut in last, although he was kind of keyed up in that race early on, so Bob Baffert removed the blinkers. 13-10 second choice, the challenging Tapit Rich, number 5, who, after an eye-catching debut win, has suddenly become a head case. Pretty eventful run to the opening quarter in here. So for the call of Thursday's Santa Anita allowance, here's Trevor Denman.
And away they go. Brother Soldier was slow to begin, and then awkward after the start. Bayern breaks very quickly, comes right off the rail, but Bayern goes straight to the front. Flagman is on the outside. Brother Soldier really proving a handful today. Very tough to ride here. Brother Soldier looking to just run away with the rider out on front. On the inside is Baranoff and Tapit Rich the Grey. They head to the 3/4 pole and Bayern on the inside. Still Brother Soldier giving the rider a tough time, pulling very hard between horses, and now there goes Tapit Rich on the far side, so the 3 of them keeping pressure on one another. Flagman races along in 4th and Baranoff is next. They head past the 5/8 pole and Brother Soldier's on the outside of Bayern. Bayern nice and relaxed though. He's kicking through again on the inside to take the advantage. On the far side we have Tapit Rich. Then comes Flagman and Baranoff at the rail. Now there's only 2.5 lengths separating all 5. Into the turn they go, and Bayern starts to kick away now. Bayern's opened up just over a length. Brother Soldier second, Tapit Rich on the far side at the rail, Baranoff, and then Flagman. They are coming to the 5/16, and Bayern is just gliding away from them now. Bayern is opening up on the leads, gone clear by 5 big lengths without even being asked to run yet. Well clear. Tapit Rich the Grey on the outside. Flagman trying to make headway down at the rail. Heads a turn for home, and Bayern getting the reins shaken at him now. He's got to be between 8 and 10 lengths clear. This is an absolute charade out here. It's going to be Bayern just turning it into a procession. Could not have been more impressive. Absolutely canters in, does Bayern.
Bayern, for Bob Baffert and Gary Stevens, relaxes much better than he did in his debut and buries this suspect field by 15 lengths. He took some backstretch pressure while inside and was completely comfortable and professional. Folks, this win reminded me quite a bit of Bourbonize a couple of years ago. I think it was his maiden race. It might have been his entry-level allowance. It was a mile, of course, going 2 turns at Santa Anita. And I remember coming on the show and telling you that Bourbonize did something that is quite unusual for a 2-turn mile race. He ran every quarter mile in under 24. Well, Bayern didn't quite do that. His quarter miles were 24.03, 23.74, 24 flat, and 24 flat. He is a son of Awfully Wild out of a Thunder Gulch mare and is owned by Kaleem Shah, who has had some very bad luck in the past on the road to Louisville. He had Take Control a couple of years ago, who was so impressive early on in his career and then got seriously injured. So he deserves some good luck, and that good luck may come in the form of Bayern. Okay, what did those 2 3-year-old races do to our Derby dozen? Let's take a look at the updated list. As of this morning, we are 11 weeks out from the first Saturday in May, and I have taken Midnight Hawk and Cool Samurai off the list after the Robert Lewis. Remaining number 1 is Cairo Prince, Florida Derby up next. Moving from number 3 to number 2 is Top Billing, who will go in next Saturday's Fountain of Youth. Moving from number 7 to number 3 is Candy Boy, the winner of the Lewis. Looks like the Santa Anita Derby will be next. Remaining at number 4 is Honor Code, March 15th Rebel. New at number 5 is Bayern. Possibly the March 8th San Felipe. If not, they'll wait for the Santa Anita Derby. I would prefer he run in the San Felipe. At number 6, down a notch, is Shared Belief. He hasn't had a work since January 3rd. Up a spot at number 7 is Strong Mandate, who will go in Monday Southwest. Up a spot at number 8 is Vickers in Trouble, who will go in next Saturday's Risen Star. California Chrome moves up a spot to number 9. The March 8th San Felipe is next. Up a spot at number 10 is Havana. The March 1st Swale at 7/8. Number 11 is Commissioner, who will go in the next Saturday's Fountain of Youth. And back on the list at number 12, and I could have put any number of horses at number 12. The main reason I put Tapiture in here is he's running on Monday in the Southwest, and I will be able to make a quick decision on what to do with Tapiture. So our Derby dozen, as we stand 11 weeks out from America's greatest race. Last Saturday closed Pool 2 of the Derby Futures. Let's show you the wagering interests and the $2 payoffs. One very good idea this year, it's about the only good idea Churchill Downs has done with this pool in all the years, was to close the pool prior to the races that day. So folks, you were able to get 32-1 on Candy Boy. If you liked them going into the Lewis, you got a much, much better price than if they had closed the pool after the race. Now folks, there are 24 betting interests in here. The parimutuel field, as expected, the 3-2 betting favorite. Of the individual horses, Honor Code is the second choice, followed by Cairo Prince, Top Billing getting play, Shared Belief, and Strong Mandate. Midnight Hawk. Now, you know, if you liked Midnight Hawk going into the Lewis, I don't want to say you're stuck with him because he's still a talented colt, but you know, he's a payoff of $40.80, where Candy Boy you're getting $67.20 on. The 24 betting interests in here, they bet $287,000 to win and $93,000 in the exacta pool. Let me just give you an idea how weak that really is. I took a race from Gulfstream last Saturday, just an everyday overnight race. It had a 12-horse field instead of 24 betting interests. People bet the exact same amount of money to win in that Gulfstream race, and they bet $437,000 in the exacta instead of $93,000. I remain completely baffled as to why Churchill Downs does not improve this wager. And we are up to our next break. When we return, it's off to Oaklawn, where we'll welcome Mr. Kellyn Gorder. As we go to the break, the Grade 1 Gulfstream Turf Handicap. I guess beginning another year of questionable Grade 1 turf routes. A field of 8. There was one Grade 1 winner in here, number 8 Boisterous, who I didn't like at all. The 2-1 favorite, number 5 Summer Front. 2.5-1 second choice, number 6 Amiris Prince, coming back off a layoff. I like the third choice, number 7 Imagining. So we will take a look at the Gulfstream Park turf to the break. Back with Kellyn Gorder right after these messages.
All in line here, just about set for the start. They're off in the Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap. And off to a very good start here. They broke in an even line. It's Tetradram and Lochte out for the lead together. And there goes Amira's Prince into it early on the outside, and now moves up into second, just outside of stablemate Tetradram. Lochte is back running in third. Charming Kitten is fourth. Then Boisterous on the far outside, followed by Summerfront, who's tucked in sixth. In behind horses 5 lengths off the lead. Nicky Sandcastle is next, and Imagining trails 8 lengths off of Tetradram, who is assuring the pace here. A 23 and 2 opening quarter mile for Tetradram, who leads them onto the backstretch. Amira's Prince is 2 lengths behind in second. Lochte is running third on the inside. And then it's Boisterous in fourth, just to the outside of Charming Kitten, who now splits horses and is racing 4.5 lengths off the lead. Summerfront is hard held by Joe Bravo right now, with 6 lengths to make up, biding time well, and now taken to the outside for a clear run. And then comes Imagining and Nicky Sandcastle, a half mile in 47 3/5 seconds. It's an even pace set here by Tetradram, who continues to be isolated a length in front of Amira's Prince as they go into the far turn. And then it's Boisterous third, Lochte fourth to the inside, Charming Kitten. Summerfront is still on hold with 4 lengths to make up. Then comes Imagining, who swung to the far outside, and Nicky Sandcastle is last, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. Tetradram turns for home in front. Amira's Prince is second. Summerfront let loose now, just to the inside of Imagining, and Summerfront ran into traffic trouble there. Now it's to swing outside, and Lochte's looking for an upset. Oh, he's run a huge race. He's the longest shot here. Lochte, a massive upset in the Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap with Orlando Boca Chica over Imagining, and then it was Amira's Prince and Nicky Sandcastle.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano, and Lochte, coming off an entry-level allowance victory in last, sits a perfect inside trip under Orlando Boca Chica to upset the Gulfstream Turf at 39-1, beating Imagining by 2 3/4 lengths. Our first guest this morning has an interesting 3-year-old going in Monday's Southwest Stakes. That 3-year-old is Bourbonize, our guest, Mr. Kellyn Gorder. Kellyn, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Good morning.
Nice to have you. Kellyn, as we watch Bourbonize rally on the fence to break his maiden back on November 30th, and for our audience, he is number 4 in here. Kellyn, talk to us about the way he had trained up to his debut.
Well, we actually just kind of wanted to get a race in him, before the end of Churchill, and I ran him probably. I thought he was 2 or 3 works short that day. So when he did what he did, and he won that race very handily, I knew we might have something. So I thought he was probably 85% fit.
Wow, 2 or 3 works short. And here, as they go to the far turn, he is number 4 again. He's sitting an inside in behind trip. He's going to get through on the fence here. Now, he surprised the bettors that day at 17-1. It also sounds like, Kellyn, that he surprised you.
He did. His works had just been, kind of middle of the road type breezes. He wasn't breezing super fast, but he's just one of those horses that relaxes really well in his races, and has a great big stride. He's a big, kind of a tall, leggy horse, and he's got a good kind of a nice cruising speed.
Well, you touched upon it. In a moment, we're going to have a shot of him on the screen for our audience. Please take a moment to describe him physically, and then tell us what's he like mentally.
Yeah, he was a handful early in his 2-year-old year, and that's why they ended up gelding him. And he had a couple setbacks, early in his 2-year-old year. So, he's probably 16-1, dark bay or brown colt and or gelding, and I wouldn't call him light. I'd call him like a medium framed horse. And he's just real leggy, and he's just got a great big stride on him.
Well, Kellyn,
still has a little bit of a baby face on him still. He's still got some maturing to do.
Well, he caught a very sloppy track in his last start. This is his entry-level allowance victory at Oaklawn. For our audience, he is number 5 in here. Kellyn, talk about this effort, his 2-turn debut.
Yeah, it was just one of those days where it was opening day and opening weekend, anyways, at Oaklawn, and it had started raining in the morning, and it pretty much rained steady the whole day, and the track was just, it was a mess, and he just relaxed nice for Norberto Arroyo, and sat in behind the first flight of horses, and then you could see going into the far turn, he's starting to kind of just drag him right up there to the leaders, and they he went by him like they were kind of tied to a tree. He did it very easy, and then drew clear down the lane.
Now, you mentioned that Norberto Arroyo rode him this day for you. What did he tell you after the race? What did he say specifically about how well Bourbonize handled this wet surface?
He just said he had no problem whatsoever, and pretty excited to have ridden him, and thought he had a big future. So,
Kellyn, he's only raced twice. Is it your feeling, he's now won at a 1-turn distance and this 2-turn mile. Are you pretty well convinced that this is a racehorse who can get a route of ground?
Oh, yeah. And, you can see that when you gallop him in the mornings. He just, the farther he gallops, the stronger he gets. So, he's tough to pull up at the end of a gallop, at the end of a long gallop. So, that just, to me, that tells me that, the horses can go long, and, just the way he did that here at Oaklawn, I'm pretty convinced he's a horse that can go a mile and an eighth, hopefully a mile and a quarter.
Unfortunately, on Monday, you drew a brutal post position. Now, granted, there's some speed inside of you to run out of there, but how tough is that post, and what kind of instructions will you give to your rider?
Yeah, I'm just going to, tell Ramon Vasquez has the mount on him, and just going to tell him to, I think the 8 horse and the 9 horse, which is Rod on Curlin and Lucas's horse, Strong Mandate. I think they both have some speed, and they're drawn in the 8 and the 9, and so we don't have that kind of speed, and I'm not going to try to take him out of his game plan. That's his style of running, and so I'm just going to tell Ramon to just try to follow those guys over a little bit, and try to save as much ground as he can around that first turn. But I think those guys will be quite a few lengths in front of me. So you know, hopefully he can just tuck him in and keep him out of trouble. And you know, it's just one of those things. It's kind of the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was in 2012, Bob Baffert won from the 11 post with a horse named Castaway, but that was a whole different, kind of a different deal because it was a mile race then, and that horse had a lot of speed. Yeah. So you know, they used him early to get over. But you know, we're not going to, you know, we just don't have that kind of speed, so we're going to have to do it the hard way.
Final question, Kellyn. We know that because of the bad weather in Hot Springs, you know, we've had bad weather all around the country, but training has been interrupted rather dramatically at Oaklawn. How has that affected Bourbonize going into Monday Southwest?
Yeah, I mean, we probably missed, I think I counted the other day, I think I missed 7 days total. You know, 2 or 3 days at a time, and then we'd get to train a couple days, and, you know, I did miss some work. But, you know, we missed some days going into his first race here, too, and, you know, he just seemed to really run well, fresh, so, you know, maybe it's a blessing. That's what we're hoping.
Well, Kellyn, we wish you all the best on Monday with Bourbonize in the Southwest, and we thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kellyn. Kellyn Gorder, ladies and gentlemen. And we are up to our final break. When we return, Mr. Cody Autrey will join us. As we go to the break, the Gulfstream Sprint at 7/8. 2-1 favorite, number 9, Catron. The 7-2 second choice, number 1, Laugh Track. So we'll take a look at the Gulfstream Sprint to the break. Back with Cody Autrey right after these messages.
They're racing in the Gulfstream Park Sprint. And Falling Sky comes out fast and goes out to take the early lead. Sing Another Song is right with him, and then it's Reverone out third from the inside. Silver Menace, Catron next, Fort Loudon outside of them. Laugh Track and Jackson Bend are right together. They're 4.5 lengths off the lead. Then it's Brujo de Olleros. They're being followed by Purple Egg, and at the back it's Narvaez as the field speeds up the backstretch through a 22 and 3 opening quarter. Falling Sky is the leader with a half mile to go. Sing Another Song is second, Reverone third to the inside. Then it's Catron 3 wide, Silver Menace in between horses. Fort Loudon is next, Jackson Ben's under a ride, Laugh Track is down at the rails, 7 off the lead, then Brujo de Olleros. Behind them, Narvaez and Purple Egg at the back, 44 and 1 for a half mile. Falling Sky is the leader as they come to the top of the stretch. Sing Another Song second, and they've kicked away 4 lengths from the others. Then comes Reverone running a big one in third. Catron's got to pick it up, and Falling Sky is opened up. Falling Sky was running a huge race. He's 4 in front at the 16th pole. He's throttled his competition in the Gulfstream Park Sprint. Wow, Falling Sky was huge. Narvaez got second, then Brujo de Olleros and Catron. And the final time was 1 minute 20.65 seconds, just off the track record.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today. Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Kellyn Gorder once again for having joined us. And Falling Sky for George Weaver and Luis Saez powerfully by 5.5 lengths on the front end to win the Gulfstream Sprint. 1:20.65, just a fifth of a second off the track record. Our final guest this morning will have a pair of starters in Monday's Southwest and Tanzanite Cat and Paganol. Joining us live via telephone, Mr. Cody Autrey. Cody, Mark Asano welcoming you to Down the Stretch.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Nice to have you. Cody, let's begin with Tanzanite Cat. And as our audience takes a look at him break his maiden back in early December at the fairgrounds, for our audience, he is number 4 in here. Cody, he had debuted last summer at Del Mar, then didn't resurface till here. What happened?
Well, he was training really well leading up to his debut, and we thought he's always showed us a lot of talent. After the race at Del Mar, I just didn't think he was getting over that track particularly well. His works at Hollywood Park were really, really good. Then we got to Del Mar, he tailed off on us just a little bit. So after the disappointing first race, we just decided to back off of him. We figured he was being a better dirt horse. So we backed off of him. We just jogged him for a couple months. And really aimed him towards Oaklawn. And he really was training well. So he actually got ready to run a little bit sooner than we thought he was. So that's when we mapped out the race at the fairground.
Now, Cody, this was one of the numerous off-the-turf races this winter at the fairgrounds. When you entered him for this race, were you hoping it would come off the turf? Did you know it was going to come off the turf? What was the situation?
Looking at the weather, it looked like it was 98% chance to be a dirt race. So we really didn't. We were kind of just going to give him a race, thinking he would need one, and we only had him about 85% ready. So our expectations weren't high just going in. We were just trying to. We had quite a few maidens at the time, so we were trying to separate him a little bit before Oaklawn started. So we were okay with turf or dirt, but really we wanted to run the dirt, and we thought that's pretty much what we were going to get.
Cody, in a moment, we're going to have a shot of Tanzanite Cat on the screen. Please take a moment to describe him for our audience from a physical standpoint, and what's he like mentally?
He's a very good-looking horse. We bought him at the 2-year-old sale. We loved him, loved his work. He's not an overly big horse, compared to Paganol, which he's 16. Paganol 16.3. This horse is probably, 15.3. He's not a very big horse, but he's got a really, really good way of going. And you'll notice when they show the replays, he's got a real fluid way of moving. And he's just gotten better and better every month since, the month of September. October, he really started picking it up, and he's had no setbacks whatsoever.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we're about to take a look at his last race. This is the Smarty Jones. Tanzanite Cat is number 8 in here for our audience. This is his 2-turn debut, his stakes debut. I got to think you were thrilled with this performance.
Yeah, going down the backside, he was in an unbelievable position. He was on a lead, and he was relaxed. Then the horse moved up on the inside of him, waltzed there, kind of made a little bit of a premature move. And what we really liked about this horse, it didn't get him excited. It never got nervous. He was still turned off, just in cruise control. Norberto said he never even flinched at that horse going by. He relaxed. When he asked him to run, he finished up really well and galloped out extremely well.
Yeah, Cody, going from 5.5 off a freshening to a mile, more often than not, those types of speed horses are not going to come back to the rider and relax. He looks absolutely settled and relaxed here, stalking the pace.
Yeah, that's what Norberto said. This horse got a really, really good mind on him. He tends to do everything you want him to do in the morning. And he relaxes well. Looking at him, you wouldn't stamp him as a 1 1/16 1.25 type horse. But once he levels off and gets to a nice stride, he's got a really nice way of going. We've questioned, how far he actually wanted to go, and that answered some questions in the Smarty Jones. And if you watch the gallop out at Oaklawn, the mile race is ended at the 16th hole. So on the gallop out, you'll notice he passes the original finish line where most races are ended at Oaklawn, and he's still in front. Nobody ever got past him all the way past the original finish line and on past that wire. So we were pleased by the way he galloped out, and his training out of the race has been better than what he was going into the race.
That's wonderful. We'll touch upon that in just a couple of moments. But on Monday, you're also going to be running recent maiden winner Paganol. Well, here he is for our audience in his lone start, January 11th at Oaklawn. He is number 10 in here. Cody, tell us about Paganol.
Well, he's a horse that we had in California also at the same time as Tanzanite Cat, and he really looked like a nice horse. But once again, the synthetic surface wasn't very kind to him, and we had a few setbacks with him. So looking at him being 16-3 and really thinking he's a two-turn horse, we just decided not to start him in California. We gave him 60, 90 days to grow up a little bit, and we got him back ready to run at the Evangeline Training Center where I prep all my horses during the winter before Oaklawn. And he has just shown us immense talent from the time he went a half mile on. And him and Tanzanite Cat have worked together probably 10 times in company, and they've never been more than a head apart, you know. So we wanted to run him two turns, but we didn't. The only race we had the option to do that at Oaklawn was a mile and a 16th opening week, and I really wasn't interested in running him two turns first time out going a mile and 16th. If it had been a mile, we probably would have stretched him out first time. But so we were okay with him getting beat and giving him some experience, and fortunately it worked out where he broke his maiden, and it actually put us ahead of the schedule rather than having to come back and look for a maiden race.
Now, interestingly, we had Kellyn Gorder on a few moments ago, and I asked him the same question. The weather in Hot Springs has been, you know, just like here in the Northeast, pretty much dreadful. And it has interrupted training a lot. But you've done something to alleviate that problem. Tell our audience what you've done with Tanzanite Cat and Paganol to keep them on schedule.
Well, the weather looked like I worked Paganol back on a 6-day work pattern the one time because I knew I was going to miss the next couple of days training. And then we had him going, and it looked like the weather was going to take a turn for the worst again. So we decided Thursday morning when they canceled training here to put them on a van, ship them to Evangeline Training Center. That's where, you know, you'll see the EVT, you know, in their workouts previous to their races. We shipped them down there, which is about 6 hours away, but they're very comfortable there. They know the surroundings. I knew that no matter what the weather was like there, we're going to get the train. So we sent them down there. We got them all week, and they had their last breeze Wednesday morning there. So they haven't really missed much.
So coming into Monday's race, considering, you know, that training has been somewhat interrupted, how close to ideal are Tanzanite Cat and Paganol coming into the Southwest?
Oh, I would think that they're both coming in 100%. I mean, they haven't missed anything. They've both been doing very well. Like I said, we hadn't had any setbacks. If we had any setbacks, they wouldn't be in there. I mean, there's plenty of races for 3-year-olds. There's no sense in getting a rush with them. But we just figured since Paganol came out of the race good and it looked like he wants to go 2 turns, then we might as well go ahead and run both of them. So.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. We appreciate it. All the best on Monday with both Tanzanite Cat and Paganol in the Southwest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cody Autrey, ladies and gentlemen. One quick note before we leave you this morning. Interesting. Samantha Nicole, a full sister to 2009 Horse of the Year Rachel Alexandra, will be making her debut tomorrow in Sunday's 4th race at the fairgrounds. The 3-year-old filly will debut at 1 mile and 70 yards. Now, Stone Street bought Samantha Nicole, and you can see it right here in this shot, for $700,000. She is trained by Steve Asmussen. Rosie Napravnik rides, so look for Samantha Nicole tomorrow in the 4th at the fairgrounds. All right, time to wrap things up. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air here at the studios of the Clubhouse at the Clubhouse Racebook. In Albany, our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, as well as Mick Richards. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed and handled all of pre-production, Vince Westcott on audio, and thanks to this morning's guests, Cody Autrey, as well as Kellyn Gorder. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy all the racing action from coast to coast here at Capitol. Have a wonderful upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.